Let me ask you something. Have you ever been so broken, so betrayed, that it felt like a part of you died with them? You loved them. You gave your time, your heart, your loyalty, your energy, and they walked away like it meant nothing. They discarded you like you were replaceable. But listen to me, you are not disposable. You are irreplaceable. You were just misused, and now it's time to rise. Now it's time to build the version of you that will make them regret ever letting you go. Pain, it's the one thing we all try to avoid. We numb it, deny it, distract ourselves from it. But let me tell you something that will change the way you see every heartbreak, every betrayal, every disappointment. Pain is not your enemy, it's your fuel. Let's get real. Everyone wants to glow up. Everyone wants to be powerful, respected, admired. Nobody wants to walk through the fire. Nobody wants to feel the sting of loss, the ache of rejection, the loneliness of starting over. Yet ironically, it's those very moments, the ones that rip us wide open, that hold the raw material for our transformation. Think about it. When have you grown the most in your life? Was it during the easy times when everything went your way? Or was it when your heart got shattered, when your plans fell apart, when someone you trusted walked away without a second thought? That pain, it woke you up. It forced you to stop cruising and start creating. It pushed you to dig deeper, to become resourceful, to build strength in places you didn't even know existed. Let me give you a real example. Imagine someone who's just been through a breakup. The kind that knocks the air out of your lungs. You're checking your phone constantly, hoping for a text that never comes. You're questioning yourself. Was I not good enough? Nights feel endless, days feel empty, and everywhere you go, you're reminded of them. But somewhere in that pain, maybe on the 4th night you can't sleep, the 10th time you stare into a mirror and don't recognize yourself anymore, something shifts, you reach a breaking point. And right there, right in the middle of that darkness, you have a decision to make. Do you stay broken, or do you build something from the wreckage? That's when pain becomes fuel. Because when you decide to use it, not run from it, you start moving differently, you start showing up for yourself. You hit the gym not just to look better, because you need an outlet for that fire burning inside you. You start working on your goals not just to distract yourself, but to reclaim your power. You read, you reflect, and day by day, something magical starts to happen. You stop checking their social media. You stop wondering what they're doing. Not because you don't care, but because you've remembered who the hell you are. Pain has a way of stripping away illusions. It shows you who's really for you. It shows you what really matters, and most importantly, it shows you what you're made of. Some of the strongest people you admire today, they were forged in the fire. Oprah was told she wasn't good enough for TV. Steve Jobs was fired from his own company. In relationships too, some of the most powerful, grounded, self-aware people you'll ever meet got that way because someone broke them first. But instead of staying broken, they let the pain become their teacher. Pain taught them not to overgive to those who take. Pain taught them to set boundaries. Pain taught them to listen to their gut when their heart tried to argue. Pain taught them to choose themselves. When you stop seeing pain as punishment and start seeing it as preparation, everything changes. You stop asking, why me? And start saying, try me. Because you realize that the pain was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to redirect you, realign you, and reshape you into a version of yourself that is no longer available for the nonsense you used to tolerate. In daily life, this can look simple but powerful. You might take that pain and turn it into a new routine, getting up early, journaling, lifting weights, launching a side hustle. You might finally cut off that friend who's been draining you for years. You might finally start speaking up at work, applying for things you used to feel too small for. That's pain turning into power. That's fuel in action. Even biologically, the body doesn't grow without stress. Muscles tear before they rebuild stronger. The same is true emotionally, spiritually. Mentally, your next level will not be comfortable, but it will be worth it. So the next time life knocks you down, remember this. It's not the end of your story. It's the beginning of your rise. You may not have chosen the pain, but you get to choose what to do with it. Let it shape you. Let it sharpen you. Let it turn you into someone even you would admire. Pain is not a curse. It's your ignition. The moment you realize that is the moment everything changes. Use it. Don't waste it. Because pain is not the end. Pain is fuel. Maybe that was a moment after someone walks, a relationship ends, or a friendship falls apart, when you start to question everything about yourself. You stand in front of a mirror and suddenly your souls replay every conversation, every mistake, every text you shouldn't have sent. You overanalyze your laugh, your love, your loyalty. It's a sure the problem. But let me say this loud and clear, you are not broken. You were just undervalued. Being undervalued doesn't mean you lacked worth. It means they lacked the vision to see it. Think about a diamond buried in the ground, covered in dirt. rough around the edges. If someone walks past it and thinks it's just make it worthless, that just means the wrong person was looking. The diamond hasn't lost its value. It's Jitta, and who knows what they're looking at. That's you. That's you. Maybe that old story, the way someone treats you doesn't detrails their capacity to recognize it. And sometimes people don't have the depth to love the way you love. Sometimes they haven't healed enough to with honesty, loyalty, and a full heart. So they fumble you. Not because you were too little, because you were too much for where they were. You are not too sensitive, too intense, too emotional. You are not too much. You are just withhold what you carry. Don't let that convince you you're broken. Let's look at this in a real world, everyday example. Imagine you give something you pour soul into, and instead of hanging it with care, they toss it aside. They don't see the colors. They value the time and heart you put into it. Does that mean your art is worthless? No. It means you gave it to someone who died to appreciate it. Now apply that to yourself. You gave your energy, your attention, your kindness, your belief in them, and they struggle like your love was ordinary. But what you gave was rare, and one person's inability to recognize that's any less extraordinary. The truth is, we often let the way people treat us become the definition of our worth. If they ghost us, we assume we were forgettable. If they cheat, we assume we weren't enough. If they leave, we assume we were replaceable. But let me tell you something, that kick of how shit more handles your heart says more about than it ever will about you. Some people were never taught how to love. Others are still trying to heal from, and some just aren't ready for the real thing. So they settle for surface level, for shallow, for easy. You scared them. Your depth scared them, made them uncomfortable. Your honesty challenged their games. That's not your fault. Maybe, and here's what you need to understand. You're undervalued does not mean you are broken. It means you were in the wrong place. Maybe that was your eye. You wouldn't expect a child to understand, right? Then why expect someone emotionally immature to recognize the depth of your love? It's not about fixing yourself. Be fixed. You just stop just handing your value to the people who had earned it. You are whole. Even if they made you feel a kunk up, that they made you feel like a backup plan. You are rare, even if they treated you like an option. You don't need to shrink yourself, be to dull your light to fit into someone else's shadow. You don't need to change your core just to be chosen. Because the right people, the ones who are healed and ready, will not only see your value, they will protect it, they will cherish it, they will rise to meet it. But first you have to see that value, and you have to stop measuring your worth through the lens of someone who couldn't see past their own wounds. You have to stop thinking that if you're lack, it's not. It's a reflection of their limits, not your lovability. So today, choose to stop calling yourself broke. You know what? You are just becoming. You are unfolding. You are healing. You are growing into a version. You recognize the person who once settled for crumbs. And one day they're going to realize what they walked away from. They're going to look back and see the beat part, the loy of the heart, and they'll regret it. But you won't even be looking in their direction. Because by then, maybe you'll have stepped fully into your worth it to someone who can't hold it. You're not broken. You were just undervalued. And now it's your time to rise. Silence. In a world that constantly stores is often misunderstood. People think silence means weakness. That not replying is surrender. Maybe not reacting is acceptance. But the trend is one of the most powerful tools you have. Especially when someone has walked away from you, hurt you, underestimated your worth. When someone in this desperate urge to explain, to defend, to plead, to remind them of what they lost, we feel the need to respond to their despond, their betrayal with emotion, their absence with noise. But here's the truth, that your silence can say what 1,000, because silence is not emptiness. Silence is strength. Silence is clarity. It is a full sentence, and in the right moment, it speaks low-nabbing tears louder than any dramatic exit ever could. Let's put this in perspective with something you might relate to. Imagine you were in a relationship wherein you were there for them on their worst days. You celebrated their wins like they were your own. You believed them when they did ditty-ohs, boos. Slowly, the energy shifted. They stopped appreciating you. They started pulling away. Maybe they even hurt you emotionally. And then they left. Or worse, they expect you to leave quietly. while they moved on like nothing happened. Now, your instinct as someone with deep to express, to reach out, to make them understand what they just threw away. You want to send the long text. You want to post something that makes an ending. You want to get that last word. But pause. Take a breath. Because the most powerful thing you can do, write a thing. Why? Because silence does what words can't. It creates a mystery they can't decode. It creates space they didn't expect. Their decisions and wonder about your. So when you go silent, you stop feeding their ego. You stop giving them the satisfaction of seeing your break. Stop showing them your wounds, and you start showing them your growth. Silence doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you've chosen to heal in private, fighting behind the scenes. It means you've remembered that your energy is sacred, and not everyone gets access to it. Maybe that was your story. Think it like this: when a celebrity deflight for a while, what happens? People start talking. Where did they go? What are they? A comeback. The silence builds anticipation. It makes the next move stronger. Now imagine applying that to your life. Silent. Let them wonder why you didn't chase. They tried to trigger you with their posts, their stories, their new person. Stay silent. Let they expected you to fall apart. Stay silent. Let your glow up do the talking, because real power doesn't need to scream or perform. Real power moves in silence and shows up as results. A person who can stay calm in chaos, maybe can hold their ground without burning down the room. That's a person you can't mess with. That's who becomes unforgettable. Think of it like a chess game. The most daring at chess, the one who doesn't show all their moves. They're not loud, they're not predictable. But when they strike, maybe that was strike with precision. It gives you space to respond with purpose instead of reacting with emotion. And here's the beautiful twisting: while they're busy trying to replace you or pretend they moved on, you're working on yourself. You're evolving. You're getting clearer, stronger, more aligned. And by the time they realize, silence has already created a version of you that's no longer available to them. Because silence isn't about revenge. It's about respect for yourself. I don't need to prove myself to you. Now, when someone's life who didn't choose me, I am choosing peace over drama, growth over closure, maybe healing over attention. And the truth that they truly valued you, your silence would echo in their world louder than any goodbye. It would make them reflect. It would make them regret. And by then, your life vibrant so full, so grounded, that the door they once walked out will no longer be open. So if you're hurting right now, if you'll explain, pause, let your silence be your answer. Let your transformation be your revenge. Let your stillness shake their word. Silence is wisdom. It is the ultimate flex. The quiet before the comeback. Maybe their old story, and when done right, it's unforgettable. So wisely, there's something deeply transformating eye contact. That's a whole different level of power. Because no contact is not just about not speaking to them. It's about removing yourself fully, compete a bit. And when you do it right, it becomes a mirror they can't look away from, and a boundary they can't cross. Maybe it's not about games. It's protection. Let's be real. When someone hurts you, disrespects you, or walks away like you were easy to leave, okay, every part of your heart wants to reach out. You want closure. You want answers. You want them to understand what they did. But here's the harsh truth. You don't get peace in who broke you. That's why no contact, no control. The moment you cut the cord, when you stop texting, stop watching their stories, stop cheap giving them a backstage pass to your healing. You take back the power they thought they had over your emotions. Because whether they admit it or not, people feel when you pull your energy away. Especially if you were the one who loved deeply. Especially if you're one who always reached out. Especially if you were the one who forgave too much too often. And when you go no contact, the game changes. Let me paint you a real life picture. And you start noticing the shift. They get lazy with their love. They stop showing up for you. They start taking you for granted. Maybe you betray your trust. You confront it. You cry. You try to fix it, but nothing works. They're already halfway out the door. And then they leave. Or worse, they expect to leave background, watching, waiting, silently hurting while they move on with life, pretending they're fine. This is where most people get stuck. You start break your own heart sending messages that go unanswered. You watch them live a life that doesn't like you're being erased. That pain, that craving for connection, it makes you want to stay available just in case they come around. But here's won't expect you to disappear. They don't expect you to stop watching. They don't expect you to stop or cut off their access. That's when silence becomes deafening. That's when they start wondering, why haven't they messaged me? Are they okay without me? And suddenly, the control they had, the power they gone. No contact doesn't just protect you from further pain. It protects your healing. It gives your heart room to breathe and fantasy and face the truth. They had you and they lost you. Now they have to live with that. And what happens in that space you create? You grow. You start focusing on yourself. You rebuild your identity without them. You become clearer, stronger, more aligned with who you truly are. You align to the prize, and maybe, just maybe, they start to realize it too. But by then, you're too far ahead to turn back. See, people get access. They get used to you being available. The good morning text, the just checking in, calls, the replies within seconds. And when you take all of that away, it shocks their system. And it's not about making them chase you. That's not the point. The point is that you reclaim you're not being emotionally manipulated by their half-hearted check-ins. You stop letting their silence control your self-worth. You stop responding to breadcrumbs when you it's a reset button, a spiritual detox. It's saying, I deserve peace, and I'm not going to trade it for temporary. People who truly value won't need to be cut off to realize what they had. But the ones who only appreciated your fear like it, they'll feel the loss when you go quiet. No contact isn't about hate. It's not even about anger. It's about self-respect. Because every time we break cock to reach out to someone who didn't respect you, teach them that they can come and go as they please. When you hold the line, when you say, accessible to someone who couldn't value me, you set a standard, you become untouchable. You're available for games. Maybe interested in apologies that come too back. They might send that, hey, they might test the waters. But by then it won't matter. Maybe because you will have found peace that, or take away. So if you're in that place right now, wondering whether to reach out, wondering whether you should break your silence, who shut your spirit, pause, don't do it. Let your silence speak. Let your absence teach. Let your no contact create the gravity of your worth. Because in the end, your peace matters more than their presence. No contact, no control. And that's exactly how you get your power back. When someone walks out of your life or one to stay and can treat you like an afterthought, the first emotion that hits is pain. And from that pain, maybe that was your old something starts to rise. This burning, you want them to see what they lost. You want to look so good, live so well, grow so big that they feel the sting of regrame crosses their mind. But here's the truth. No one tells you at first thing if you level up just to prove something to them. You're still living in their shadow attachment. That's still you handing them the remote to your self-worth and letting them press the buttons. Maybe that old story. So what do you do instead? You level, not for revenge, but for resurrection. You rebuild, not because they're watching, but because you're worth it whether or not any oversees it. Let's break this down with something simple and relatable. Think about a time you got dressed up and went somewhere, not to impress anyone, but just because the fit was on point, your energy was aligned, and you caught a glimpse of yourself in the mirror and thought, damn, that's me. No one had to value it. The glow came from within. That's the kind of leveling up we're talking about. Maybe the kind that comes from deciding to settling. Enough of settling. Enough of giving all your light to people who only brought you shadows. Maybe this isn't about getting hotter just so hot up your photo. It's about getting healthier because your body deserves to be strong. Maybe it's about being wiser because your mind... It's about getting wealthier because your future deserves investment. It's about becoming so fulfilled when never hold the power to fulfill or destroy you again. Because the truth is, when you stop focusing on them and your changes, the gym becomes your sanctuary, not your stage. That book you've been meaning to read, it stops being a someday and be cashing you put on the back burner while you were too busy trying to make someone else happy. You light that fire again. And the most beautiful part, it starts if anyone's watching, not because you're hoping they come back, but because you start coming back to yourself. We live in a world obsessed with appearances, hold-ups for validation. They post just enough so their ex might accidentally see it. But surface growth fades. Real growth That's in the stuff nobody consistency. The nights you go to bed early so you can wake up and crush the day. Maybe the moments you choose your peace over quiet decisions to rise when it'd be easier to sulk. That's the level up that lasts. Because when you do it for you, maybe there's no pressure to perform.
This thing.
You're not on a stage, you're in your lane, and nothing is more attractive, more magnetic, more powerful than a person who is deep in growth journey. They won't know what to do with that version of you. The one no longer begs for closure. The one who stopped checking their flinch when their name pops up. And by the time they realize they lost someone who was willing to go to war for them, maybe too busy building your empire and showing up for yourself in ways you never did before. Let me give you a daily life moment to reflect on. Imagine walking into a room, maybe it's for a social event, and someone you haven't seen in a while does a double take. Not just because you look different, because your energy is different. You're not loud. You're not seeking attention. You're grounded, confident, and calm. They can sense it. And they wonder, what changed? What changed is you see from to see your worth and you finally saw it for yourself. That's the kind of level up that nobody can take away. That's not a glow up. That's a grow up every area of your life, not just the external stuff. You become someone who attracts peace instead of chaos. You start aligning with people who reason, and your heart, you walk away from what no longer serves you, not out of spite, but out of self-love. So don't waste another second trying to choose you when you were showing up with your whole soul. Stop performing for the ghost of who they used to be. Let that chapter close.
Your new chapter about you, the level, not to prove them wrong, but to prove yourself that you were right to keep
going, right to love yourself more, right for your future. Because when you level up for you don't just become someone they regret losing. You become someone even you are proud to wake up as. And that's the only validation you'll ever need. Closure. It's one of the most dangerous words of heartbreak. We chase it like a finish line, believing that once we hear the right words, get the perfect explanation, or receive the apology we deserve, reservedly click into place, and the pain will magically dissolve. But more often than not, closure doesn't come from them. It comes from you. Because the truth is, forgive you closure. Because giving you peace would mean admitting they caused chaos. We're taught to believe that closure is, we just sit down and talk it out, things will make sense. That we'll finally hear what we need to move on. But what if I told you that waiting for you is like waiting for the same storm that wrecked your house to come back and rebuild it? Maybe that was your old story. You don't need them to validate your pain, why they betrayed you. You don't need to understand why they walked away like you mean nothing. What you need is to stop giving the healing can begin. Let's take a real life example. You're in a relationship that starts off beautifully. You invest, you commit, you show up. You forever are with this person. But then, out of nowhere, or slowly over time, they begin to pull away. They become distant. You start to feel the disconnect, the energy. Eventually it ends. Maybe give you a vague excuse, or maybe they disappear altogether. And you're left with 1,000 and craves closure. You want to ask them why they changed. You want to ask if they ever truly loved you. You want to ask if you ever mattered at all. Then ask conversation. You write and rewrite messages you never send. You check their social media hoping to find signs, clues, anything that could make the puzzle living. Clarity and closure is rarely about clarity. It's about control. Deep down, what we really want is for the person who wakes up they made us feel. We want them to take away the guilt, the self-doubt, the emptiness. But they can't. Because if they had that kind of emotion, we wouldn't have hurt you in the first place. So what do you do instead? You take your power back. Maybe you stop non-story. You stop knocking on closed, realizing that closure isn't something you wait for. It's something you create. You create closure by accepting understand it. You create closure by no longer making their silence mean something about your worth. You create closure by choosing peace or peace. You won't happen overnight. Some mornings you'll wake up and still want to reach out. Some nights, the weight of what's unspoken will feel bay. Healing isn't linear, but every time you choose to sit with your emotions instead of chasing theirs, maybe that was you get stronger. Every time you choose to yourself instead of begging someone else for honesty, you become more free. You don't need their permission to move on. You don't need their apology to forgive the vanilla conversation to close the chapter. Sometimes the greatest closure is no closure. Sometimes the greatest healing is silence. Someone's in, walking away without needing to be understood. Let me give you a powerful truth. Closure doesn't heal you. Acceptance does. Acceptance means you condone what happened. It means you're choosing to stop bleeding over someone who keeps cutting you. It means you're choosing to stop waiting for who broke you to be the one who mends you. You might not get the apology you deserve. Maybe you can still give yourself forgiveness. Get goodbye you wanted, but you can still say goodbye in your own way. You might not get the explanation. You can still choose peace. Picture yourself standing at the edge of a cliff. You've been waiting for someone to come back, hold your hand, and walk with you into the next chapter. You're not coming. And each minute you wait, you're delaying your own flight. So what do? You take one last look past. No, bitch, look at the wisdom. Then you jump. You trust that your wings will grow with every step you take forward. You trust that your healing is not your habits, your mindset, your choices. You trust that you're worthy of peace, even if they never give you closure. And one day, you'll look back and realize stop chasing closure was the moment you started creating freedom. You'll see that everything you were looking for in resolution, understanding, was always waiting to be built within you. You're not broken because they left without you. You're powerful because you chose to heal without one. Stop chasing closure. Create your own peace. That's where your freedom begins. There's a moment after every heartbreak, betrayal, or loss where the silence around you feels deafening. You've been left, doubted, underestimated, or even replaced. While people may expect you to fall apart, disappear, or fade into the background, there is a power that begins to awaken in you. A decision, a fire, a why that burns deeper than the pain. That fire is your comeback. And let me tell you something straight from the heart. Your comeback will always be your loudest answer. You don't need to clap back. You don't need to post cryptic quotes. You don't need to prove anything with words. Because your success, your healing, that's the answer. That's the echo that lives longer than any temporary drama. Let's dive into something we all understand, being counted out. Maybe it was in a relationship where someone looked you in the eyes, promised forever, then turned around and made you feel like you were never enough. Maybe it was in a friendship that turned cold, where they stopped showing up, stopped calling, stopped caring. Or maybe it was at work, in your family, or even within yourself, where no one saw your potential, no one believed you had it in you. That kind of rejection, that kind of abandonment cuts deep. It shakes your identity. It makes you question, am I really as valuable as I thought I was? But here's where everything starts to shift. Because if you sit in that question long enough, you eventually realize you have two choices. You can stay there, broken, bitter, replaying the story over and over in your head, or you can rise, you can build, you can evolve. And when you choose to rise, that's when your comeback begins. Now let's be clear, this isn't about revenge. This isn't about showing up so they regret leaving. This isn't about rubbing your glow up in anyone's face. This is about remembering who you are, even when the world forgets. Think about a seed buried underground. It's in the dark. It's silent. Nobody sees it. But inside, something is happening. Roots are forming. Strength is building. And when it breaks through the soil, it's not just a comeback. It's transformation. That's what your journey is. You see, people often think the most powerful thing you can do is scream. But true power doesn't need to be loud. True power shows up in the way you carry yourself, in how you evolve without needing to announce it. Your comeback is in the way you start smiling again. It's in the way you walk with peace instead of pain. It's in the way you protect your energy like it's gold, because now, you know it is. Here's a real life example. Think about someone who went through a public breakup. Maybe their partner moved on quickly, publicly, carelessly. The world watches, waiting for the response, but instead of lashing out, they go quiet. They focus on their career. They travel, they raid, they grow. And 6 months later, they show up looking vibrant, focused, unstoppable. Not because they needed attention, but because they took their power back privately. That's a comeback. That's a loud answer without saying a word. Your comeback will always speak louder than your hurt ever could. Because when people don't believe in you, and you still succeed, that speaks. When people walk away and you still love yourself, that speaks. When people expect you to break, and you build instead, that echoes for life. And don't get it twisted. Comeback isn't just physical. It's emotional. It's spiritual. It's in the boundaries you start setting. The way you don't chase anymore. The way you don't entertain nonsense. The way you no longer accept half love, half effort, or half truths. Your comeback is personal. It's sacred. It's for you. not for them. Some of the greatest moments in your life will be when you look back and say, they thought I was done, but I was just getting started, and that day will come. That moment when someone who doubted you sees you again, stronger, wiser, more grounded, they'll scroll through your life and realize they lost something they'll never find again. By then, you won't even be watching. You'll be too focused on the life you created after the storm. Because here's the deal, every setback is a setup. Every heartbreak is a redirect. Every loss can become leverage if you let it. So whatever you're going through right now, whoever left, whoever hurt you, whoever forgot your value, go let the silence sit, let the confusion pass and get to work on yourself, on your goals, on your peace. Because the best answer you'll ever give is becoming someone they don't even have access to anymore. Your comeback is your loudest answer. Make it beautiful, make it powerful, make it so undeniable that even the people who counted you out will have no choice but to feel the impact of the version of you they'll never get again. It's a word we're taught to fear, a feeling we're told to avoid. Society tells us to numb it, run from it, distract ourselves from it. What if I told you that pain isn't your enemy? What if I told you that the very thing you're trying so hard to escape, the heartbreak, the betrayal, the disappointment, is actually the ingredient for your greatest transformation? Let the pain build you, not break you. Every person who has ever done something powerful in their life has met pain. Deep soul-altering pain, the kind that brings you to your knees, the kind that makes you question everything, the kind that shatters you, but only so you can rebuild on a foundation that's stronger and wiser than before. Pain doesn't come to destroy you, it comes to reveal you. Let's take a simple example. Think of going to the gym for the first time after a long break. You lift weights, you push your body, and the next day you're sore, your muscles ache, you feel discomfort in places you didn't even know existed. But that pain, that's not weakness. That's growth. That's your body responding to resistance by becoming stronger. The same rule applies to your heart. When it breaks, when it aches, it's preparing to grow. Now let's bring that into your emotional life. Maybe someone left you, someone you gave everything to, your love, your trust, your time. And when they walked away, it felt like they took pieces of you with them. You're left with emptiness, with silence, with memories that haunt you at night. That pain, it feels unbearable. Here's the truth most people miss. That pain is a teacher. It's teaching you what you value. It's showing you the parts of yourself that need healing. It's revealing where your boundaries were too thin, where your self-love was too low, where your intuition whispered and you didn't listen. It's showing you who you've been so you can decide who you want to become. Pain is feedback. It's not the end, it's the beginning. And in the fire of that pain, you're being forged into someone stronger, someone who no longer tolerates less than they deserve, someone who stops over-giving to people who only take, someone who knows that they are complete on their own. Because you can either let pain harden you or hone you. You can let it close your heart, make you bitter, distrustful, defensive. You can let it open you, make you wiser, make you more intentional, make you more protective of your energy and your future. You're not broken because you hurt. You're human, and pain is part of the process. Think about a caterpillar in a cocoon. The transformation into a butterfly isn't graceful, it's a battle. Inside that cocoon, the caterpillar literally breaks down into mush. It's a messy, painful, chaotic process. But from that breakdown comes the beauty, the wings, the flight. You're in your cocoon right now, and yes, it hurts. Yes, it's confusing. Yes, it feels like nothing makes sense. If you stay in it, if you trust the process, you will emerge unrecognizable to your former self. You'll look back at the person you were when the pain first hit, and you'll say, that version of me was necessary, but this version of me is unstoppable. And here's something else to remember. People who hurt you don't get the final say in your story. Just because they didn't see your worth doesn't mean it's not there. Just because they left doesn't mean you're unlovable. Just because it ended doesn't mean you're finished. Pain may have been the trigger, but you choose the transformation. So what does that look like in your daily life? It looks like choosing to get up even on the days your heart is heavy. It looks like going for that walk even when all you want to do is curl up in bed. It looks like journaling through the storm, sitting your emotions instead of escaping them. It looks like setting a boundary you used to be too afraid to set. It looks like learning, even reading, creating, even when it's messy and imperfect. Each small choice adds up. Each moment of choosing to build through the pain instead of breaking beneath it strengthens you in ways no one can take away. And here's the thing, one day, without even realizing it, you'll wake up and notice something's different. The pain that used to consume you, it doesn't sting like it used to. The memory that once brought you to tears, it now reminds you of how far you've come. That version of you, the one who was shattered, lost, confused, you'll be grateful for them because they got you here. So don't curse the pain. Don't resent it. Let it shape you. Let it guide you. Let it reveal who you really are. You are not the wound. You are the warrior who's rising from it. The pain may have broken your heart, but it's also rebuilding your soul. Let the pain build you, not break you. Because what comes after this moment, that's where the magic lives. That's where the strongest, most powerful, most grounded version of you begins.